Good evening and welcome to the Morrison County Board of Adjustment public hearing for October 14th, 2025. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I have a few items to cover before we get started. Please sign in at the door if you've not already done so. There you will also find a detailed handout of the step-by-step procedure we will follow tonight if you wish to take one. Please put any electronic devices on a silent mode at this time, and please note all testimony is being recorded for the record. Members of the board are appointed by the County Board of Commissioners with one member from each of the 5 commissioner districts. Land Services staff is here to assist the board with its duties. The task of the Board of Adjustment is to consider requests for variances and appeals from an order, requirement, or decision made by a county zoning official in accordance with the state law and county ordinance. Each request is considered on its own merit. The burden of proving a practical difficulty rests with the applicant. If a variance is granted, it is granted to the land and not to the landowner. There's a protocol for how we will proceed tonight. Each variance request on the agenda, we will hear a staff report, testimony from the applicant, and then the board will discuss and gather more information as needed. Next, I'll ask if there's anyone in the audience wishing to speak to this request. I will ask each party to come to the podium, state their name and address for the record, and give their testimony. Please be as factual as possible and direct all statements and questions to me. After all testimony is complete, I will close the public hearing portion of the process. The board will then review and discuss the case in terms of our finding of fact criteria as required by Minnesota statute and county ordinance. We'll have a series of votes to discuss whether conditions be made and have a final motion to approve or deny the request based on those findings. After this final vote, your request you may leave if you wish. And we have one agenda item tonight, and that is Agnes Sonestal, 34426 Aztec Road, Motley, Minnesota, and after the fact variance to continue retaining walls within the view from the lake. Please come up and state your name and address for the record, please.
Tom Sonnenstall, representing Agnes Sonnenstall for the address of 34426 Aztec Road, Motley.
Thank you very much. Ms. Amy, staff report.
Yep, Mr. Chair, again, this is an after-the-fact variance request to continue a retaining wall visible from the lake with no demonstrated erosion. The ordinance section that applies is 710.41, items H and J. Here's an aerial photograph of the property outlined in blue. And then here's another oblique image of the property. And then some views of the property from the lake. One from 2018, the other from 2024. Here's a survey provided by the applicant. And then here's some site photos taken at the viewing on the 10th. The 1,040 square foot dwelling was built in 1989 and is 50 feet from the lake with a deck 42 feet from the lake. In June 2024, the Land Services Department received a complaint that tiered retaining walls had been installed on the property, the boathouse had been moved closer to the lake, and the deck was being rebuilt. No permitting was on file. Upon review of imagery of the property, it was determined that a variance would be needed to keep the retaining walls as they are visible from the lake and no erosion was observed in past site photos. The applicant permitted the replacement of the deck and stated he would move the boathouse back to the original location. The boathouse placement and retaining walls are still outstanding violations. The applicant showed photo evidence that a cinder block retaining wall previously existed beneath the deck. The applicant was informed that the wall portion could remain with that wall portion could remain with a permit, but the remainder must either be removed or a variance granted. The applicant requests an after-the-fact variance to keep the entire existing tiered retaining wall. And then here are criteria questions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Everything stated there seem accurate. Any revisions? Good to go?
Yes, that sounds good.
Okay. I'll open,
Mr. Chair, one more thing. I'm sorry, I had two comments.
okay.
One was from Mark Frisk, and he stated that he is in favor of this and it is highly appealing. And the other one is from Thomas Cross, and this email is in support of the after-the-fact variance request by Agnes Sonnenstahl. I have been around this property for 80 years. I was baptized at the original cabin on this property. I will never forget as a youngster always being reminded to stay off the hill, use the steps. This was and is a steep sugar sand hill. The hill has had significant erosion through the years. When I was young, there was an outhouse just north of where the gas tank is located. The door faced the lake. Eventually, the hill eroded so bad that it was dangerous to get to the outhouse door. The building was torn down. Mrs. Sonnenstahl has long wanted a retaining wall. Since she had to relocate a shed at the bottom of the hill, she decided this was the time to build the wall. You are probably going to get one negative comment on the variance request. This will be from Agnes's son, who was given his property and has a grudge with most of his family. So those are the two comments I received, Mr. Chair. Now I'm done.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
just for, I was there on Monday morning to visit the site, so it's all part of the record.
Thank you. Brent, when were you there?
Clint, Marvin, and myself were there on Friday with Darren.
Perfect. And I was not able to make it to the property. So, confirmed on the staff report, we have the comments. I'm going to open up to board members here for questions.
Amy, can you back up to the photo that best shows the brick retaining wall that was there? Probably the 2018 photo, or
It would,
where is that?
Mr. Chair, it's this area under here.
Was there a photo, though, that actually showed that, or no?
No.
Okay.
I have one, I just don't have it in here. This was.
Okay, I was jotting some notes down when you were talking, and I thought I missed it, so I wanted to see
No,
it.
you didn't miss anything.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chair. So Tom, I was looking through our shoreland development, the goals and the objectives, and when I'm looking through all them, it kind of, this don't really affect any of them until I get down to objective D. And I know in that one it states reduce the loss of natural habitat, enhance natural habitat communities when possible. When we were at the site visit, we talked about planting plants if this would stay into them tiers of the wall and maybe in front of it. And you said you have access to thousands of plants. You didn't have that plan 100% done yet. Can you tell us a little more about that, or what you're willing to ensure that would be done, or any of that?
Sure. I work with Joel Schaefer from Minnesota Native Landscape with the business that I operate currently. And I have access to, actually, they drew up a site plan for me on that and what to put in there. We're gonna be putting blue stem grass along the top two tiers where there's the garden area, basically, I call it a garden area, and the rest is gonna be filled in with native polliners. It will be completely enclosed by native polliners. The only portion of the rock wall that will be visible from the lake will be the very low, the bottom portion. The top two tiers you will not be able to see because of the immense amount of native polliners that we're gonna put in there. Those would be black-eyed Susans, goldenrod, different things like that. All good for the environment, all good for our aspect, for bees and blah, blah, blah. The shed will also block part of that retaining wall when it is turned back perpendicular to the shoreline. That shed was cut in half. It was 20 feet long. So now we took, if you look top to bottom from the lake, I took 80 square feet of visible structure away from that property by reducing the size of that shed. So virtually, looking at the photo now compared to looking at the photo in 2018, not right now currently because you don't have the
Yep.
plants there, but the photo from 2018, you will have less visibility of that shoreline for structure and more visibility of a natural native grass and plant.
Okay.
And I have the list of all the pollinators and seeds right here and some photos if you'd like to.
Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Yep.
Okay, as I was out there, I had asked Darren to take a couple of pictures of the retaining wall on one side of the house and then the other wall over, if you could back up at the time there. So now if you look off to the left, there's just a slight slope. And, you know, now if you go to the opposite side where the boulders are placed, well, okay, you should be able to, another one. I think, no, okay. Yeah, well, it's hard to say that, but obviously, you got a lot, there you go, thank you. You can see you've got a lot steeper bank. And I looked down the road, I think that was Tom Cross's one that we allowed here a while back. And he ended up talking about how the sugar sand and how erodible it was. And obviously, we can see it was very erodible. And what I mentioned to Darren, I said a couple things that I'd seen. Your gutters were running towards the lake. That septic, or that white line that's going underneath your deck over there, you said it's pumping water. That don't know how that will be affected at all. But what we usually do when we're concerned like this, we ask for a storm water management plan. And I'm going to ask for a condition that you have a storm water management plan that would be approved by Land Services. I'm asking also that plants and shrubs that you would propose putting in there, that would be also ran over, and if it be approved by Land Services.
Absolutely.
That would be another condition that would be there. And as we talked about the shed, you know, you probably heard over and over, you have the right to replace what you have. Being it was smaller and all, I don't know what the rest of them feel. I think your heart was in the right spot and everything else here. Turning it, does it help? Anything to get further away from the water does help. But something there I think needs to be done as a condition also. That's what I'm throwing out there at this moment.
What was the last one you said?
I'm concerned about that shed. You know, the way it sits, I believe that it should be put back further from the water. I don't know how many feet it's exactly now, but the old one, how many feet it was, so it's at least that far away as where the old one was.
It would be, excuse me, sorry. It would be put exactly back to where it was previously, as it was in the picture in the 2018 photo.
Okay,
It's except for it would be 10 feet shorter.
okay. That would also be a condition I would recommend.
Mr. Chair, are you talking about the boathouse?
Yes,
That's, yeah, that's an open violation, so that is something that, since he's not seeking a variance to leave it there, it's going to have to go back to where it was. So,
Okay, okay.
kind of a belt and suspenders approach
well,
there.
okay, well, I wanted to reassure that it would be done.
Mr. Chair, are you looking at deadlines for any of this work to be done?
We would have to add dates to those. So your stormwater management plan would have to be in by a certain date. And then for plants and shrubs, obviously, it's October, so we would be looking at, well, if you have the experience with them, I'd probably look to you and say, what's reasonable?
Well, at first I have to put in the bedding and the soil material compost for the plants to be in. Right now, it's just sand. So I have to establish that. Then I could seed it with the pollinator seedings, and in the spring, I would plan on putting the actual plants. I'll be buying several of the blue stem and various plants I have listed here to put in as a planting. Those would probably be best suited to be planted in the spring because they would probably kill off over the winter. But the seed could be put in the fall and germinate potentially in the spring and be settled. That's my best guess right now.
So June 1, good to go?
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Marv?
one more question. It was brought up in a DRT meeting, and here as, when you filled out your questionnaire, you basically yes, yes, yes.
Oh,
And
that's my
I,
mistake.
And anyhow, we're not up here to determine what your practical difficulty is. And that is a hard one to go ahead and us to answer. What is your practical difficulty?
For this,
Yes.
the erosion factor on that hill, and the fact that if you look at those photos from 2018, there was 2 trees in that photo. One's up on top of that bank, that was a 100-plus-year-old oak tree, and then on the bottom right there before, and I think when you saw it out there, it was a cut-off stump. Both those trees have since died. That leaves the very top and the bottom exposed for those roots are gonna decay and rot. So there's nothing for retention on the top and nothing for substantially holding anything back on the bottom.
Okay, that works. Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Clint?
so we were out there Friday for the site visit, and you explained to us how this all came about, because it was done without the okay, without permits, all them things. Could you kind of go back through that a little bit? I know we've heard it, but George wasn't there, he didn't hear it, and John hasn't heard it, but also so it's on the record, how we come about this, with your contractors and all that stuff.
Yeah, I was referred to a contractor, and that I called that contractor. I have never met this contractor in person. And I called him and asked him to give me an estimate on the job for this. He asked what I wanted. I drew a diagram of it, and I sent it to him via text. And I asked him for a sincere quote, a total quote, all included everything. And I specifically said I want no surprises, because I've had deals like that in the past where you get something at the end that comes up. And I specifically said I want no surprises. And he assured me that that wouldn't happen. And he sent me the quote, and I questioned my mother about it. We talked about it, and she okayed it. And we went ahead and did I said, go ahead and do it.
So then you assumed he'd get the permits
I
and that
totally
type of
did.
thing?
It was everything included, just as if you would hire a contractor for electricity.
Okay. Because you don't live local.
I don't go to that cabin. I've been there probably 4 or 5 times in the past 3 years, honestly. But I'm doing this for my family, because it's our family cabin.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
George?
So I'm still having trouble with the practical difficulty here, Tom.
Sure.
Because I think it's on page, I'll be on the page that you're answering the first questions, it's page 3, number 2. You say here that previous and presumed future erosion of the sand and invasive weeds. Well, I guess, I look at the lot next door, and I didn't see any evidence of erosion there, and an oak tree with roots in the ground, I mean, them roots are gonna stay there, and they're gonna rot over a multitude of years. So I guess I just don't believe that erosion was a problem on that bank.
When you said you looked at the lot next door, can you describe which lot, to the south or the north?
North.
Okay, that lot has several trees on it. Yep. Those trees act as a buffer, they act as a shade. There is grass growing in there. The bank where this is at, like I said, both trees are dead and have died. And that bank was sandburs and rough grass. It wasn't thick grass like the other one, but that has a buffer with the trees.
I guess it really would have helped me if there would have been some documented erosion on the site.
I agree, Hunter. I agree.
It's hard to see it now.
I agree.
Well, it isn't hard to see it now because nothing's planted in the rocks now. So, I mean, right now, there probably is some erosion there.
There's no erosion with the retaining wall.
No, well, all it is crabgrass and sand right now, so.
In the beds of.
Yes.
Sure,
Yeah.
yeah, that will transform
Yeah.
into a.
I guess then my next question would be is why didn't you get that all seeded down right away instead of waiting this long? It's been over a year.
Seeded
Yeah.
the retaining wall?
Yeah.
Because if we have to tear it out, why would I put the time and energy in to do that?
Well, it might not have got turned in. If it would have all been seeded down, nobody probably would have noticed.
I doubt that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, George. Anybody else? Okay, I'm opening this up to the public. Anybody wishing to say anything, please go up to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
William Sonnenstall, 34433 Aztec Road. There was no erosion on that bank. It's been in our family since 1962. He never pulled a permit, for the deck. I asked him, the only thing I asked him to do was when he was done screwing around with everything down there, to put that boathouse 10 feet off the property line, which is the law. And your law also is you cannot build a retaining wall in Morrison County in shoreland unless there's erosion, period. I built a house there 3 years ago, and I came down here and went through all your rules and had it, and I never had one problem with Morrison County because I followed the rules. He has not followed the rules. So I want to know how you can allow somebody to just do what they want and then forgive them later when there was no reason to put that wall there to begin with. That was grass all the way to the bottom of the hill. And the boathouse sat between the lake and the hill. And I've got pictures to show when they had the high flooding, it still never came up to that boathouse. So if you don't want to follow the law, you can go ahead and do that. But I won't be happy with that. Any questions?
We're not going to answer those right now. But are you good?
I just want you to know he didn't pull a permit and there was no erosion, so there's no reason for that wall to be there. And on top of that, the end of that wall on the north side is on my lot. He built over onto my lot with it, and that shed is sitting on the edge of that shed is on my property. He just had it surveyed. If you go from behind the propane tank on top and draw a straight line down to, there's iron in the ground right at the corner of that shed. And if you try to pull a dry line, you could not pull it, you'd have to pull it through the shed. I want it 10 feet off my property line.
Sir, we're going to be here for just the wall at this point in time. For the application, yep.
Okay, but the wall is also on my property. The north end of it is on my property. And I went to the office today, they said there's no setback on the retaining wall. But you can't go past your property line, correct?
I'm not doing that here. So anything else you want to say to the application?
I'm just telling you where I'm coming from, and I live on the next lot north of that.
Understood.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other public comment? That was twice. Any public comment? That was 3 times. We will close this section of the meeting to the public and move on to the finding of fact criteria questions. Before we move ahead with those, any final comments, questions from the board members here?
Mr. Chair, before we go through this here, do you think the conditions should be read out first, or do you think we should go through this?
Yes, let's please read the conditions.
I have 3 written down, that a stormwater plan shall be developed and submitted to the Land Services Office for review and approval. A planting plan shall also be developed and submitted to the Land Services Office for review and approval, and that the boathouse shall be moved back to its original location, and all of this shall be completed and implemented by June 1st, 2026.
Okay,
So is that
Thank you.
3?
3.
3 conditions?
All by June 1. Okay, is the request, number 1, is the request in harmony with the general purposes and intent of the Morrison County Land Use Ordinance and Comprehensive Plan? As Amy just read those conditions off, and as you're looking at this prior to it being a variance, as would you approve this if ahead of time? We don't necessarily have any pictures or evidence of there being any erosion ahead of time, but we also don't have any that there wasn't from either side. So it works both ways. But with that being said, it doesn't necessarily fit into this application doesn't necessarily fit into the general purposes and intent for what the rules and regulations were designed around. And so for that question, as I look at it, it doesn't fit for me.
Mr. Chair?
Brent?
Just the opposite or counter to that is, he's asking for an after the fact, and that is part of the Morrison County Land Use Ordinance and Comp Plan, to be able to ask for an after the fact variance. And so in that regard, it is in harmony.
Thank you, Brent.
Mr. Chair,
Marv?
so we have conflicting remarks, as one stated that it wasn't eroded. Tom Cross, that was 80 years old, talked about how it eroded there. So we have conflicting issues there. But with that being stated, here with the trees being gone, and as we see that is very sandy, loomy soil, and it is quite steep there. And what he did there is to prevent further erosion. I believe it is in harmony with the conditions.
Thank you, Marv. Anything else? Question 2, is the applicant proposing to use the property in a reasonable manner not permitted by land use ordinance? Marv?
With the conditions that they're planning on getting, having stormwater management plan done with the shrubs being planted there to cover up, majority of that, the boulders, and with the shed being moved back so it meets where the other one was. I believe it's being reasonable which way they plan on using it.
Thank you, Marv.
Mr. Chair,
Clint?
just wanted to kind of add into this one we didn't talk about. At the site visit, we talked with Darren about what could have been done with this, and one of the things that could have been done is what he did, but that isn't the first choice. There's other things we'd have to look at, but without all the information to determine how much erosion was there or them type of things, it's hard to make that, we're looking at this after the fact, so it just makes it hard for us to determine if this would have been the ultimate thing that would have happened or not, if it would have been done, and approved ahead of time. But I think that landowners, even though they didn't follow the right procedure, get the right permits, and then they would have known ahead of time, I think in their minds they were using this real responsibly and reasonably to protect the land and the shoreland in their home.
Thank you, Clint. Question 3, will the issuance of the variance maintain the essential character of the locality? Brent?
I think so. We've got just 2 places, I believe, maybe 3 places to the north. We had a variance just a month ago, and we were all out there and walked that area as well. There's several properties around that lake that have these rock retaining walls put in place sometime before the ordinance changed, and once the conditions are met here with plants and vegetation, hopefully the Tier 2 and Tier 3 rocks won't be visible from the lake area, which will minimize the impact of what the whole intent of the ordinance is, not to have those visible from the lake. So I think with that said, it'll maintain the essential character of, the lake home on the water.
Thank you, Brent. Anybody else? Question 4, is the alleged practical difficulty due to circumstances unique to the property? George?
Well, I guess I still don't see a practical difficulty. The oak trees may have died and they may have been taken out of there. I believe that, we need to look at this variance from the standpoint, will we have granted it if nothing had been done there? And my answer would at that point would be no. I believe that it could have been added some black dirt, maybe re-sloped it a little bit, and seeded it down to grass, and we wouldn't have had a retaining wall. So I guess I really don't see a practical difficulty for this application.
Thank you, George.
Mr. Chair?
Brent?
For me, I think the practical difficulty is the erosion that occurs with that type of sandy soil there in the steep hill on the one side of the house, not so steep. On this side of the house that we're talking about to the north, it's obviously much steeper there, the loss of a couple trees and root base in years to come. Although you can't see the erosion that may have been there, we saw that erosion just 200-300 feet up the shoreline a couple weeks back when we had another one of these. So I think it's easy to make the inference that there could have been erosion happening in this area too, to require this.
Mr. Chair,
Clint?
I'll just state that the uniqueness of this property also goes along with, there's 4 lots right there. And them 4 lots are totally different than the rest of that side of the lake. If you go south of there all the way down around the corner, they're all low. Even look at the south side of this property, there isn't hardly any slope at all. But you go basically from that house north for them 4 properties, they're steep. And when you look at this property, and we also looked at the lot next door, and then remembering back from a previous applicant, there is 0 topsoil. The sand is right up to the grass. It is highly erodible. I know that this wasn't what our ordinance intends, to have retaining walls and things like this done in there. But sometimes things ain't all fit all situation, and I wish we could see evidence of erosion, but it don't take much for me to get convinced about the erosion with the type of soil that's on there. And heck, you look just below the retaining wall on how terrible that is, the soil and stuff. So I think it is unique to the property, and also just them 4 lots along there.
Mr. Chair,
Marv?
I agree with, basically Brent and Clint stated here. And one thing too, I believe that this was put up a little bit premature, because the roots haven't fully rotted and didn't go through it. I don't like the fact that here we're put in this position, after the fact, making it tear it out if we don't allow it. But then again, what I'm seeing on that soil with that land, that lot, it looks like you've been good stewards of it. I agree, very coarse, sandy soils. And, these trees definitely are gone, and we know what's going to happen. We see it. I mean, if that embankment was not walked up and down, probably wouldn't be a problem. But as Tom's crosses lot up a few hundred feet, you could see where they used as a walkway back and forth, and you could see where it was eroding down. So I mean, definitely there's going to be an erosion problem. But I don't like the fact that we're putting in a rock and hard spot over here. And I wish people would understand, get the permits. Don't allow the contractors to tell you, yes, it's good, it's good. We've seen it over and over. But the practical difficulty, yeah, I believe with the trees and the soils does create a practical difficulty.
Thank you, Marv. Question 5, is the need for the variance created by actions other than the landowner or prior landowners? Clint?
Well, I might have to say yes to question 5. It does solely rest on landowner to take care of all these things. Basically, we look at some of the actions that were done by the contractor not getting the permits. That still falls on the landowner. But when we look at the side of this property, with just a very, very coarse soil. There is no topsoil there. It's hard to grow grass there. With that hill, again, like I stated earlier, them 4 lots right in a row, it isn't just this one. It's really, I don't know how you get any grass to grow there without digging dirt out and adding black dirt. I mean, so I'm gonna say it's Mother Nature.
Thank you, Clint. Okay, question 6, does the alleged practical difficulty involve more than just economic considerations? But there's been a number of these things covered throughout this discussion here, obviously the erosion being one of them, and what you actually can get into plant and what would be a reasonable ask. And this is where I go back to the first question here being in request in harmony with the general purposes. My mind's been a little bit swayed on that one, but yeah, this isn't about the money. This is a bigger investment for the owners to take care of this than it would have been to actually plant or attempt to plant in the sand some of those grasses. So there are certainly more than just economics at play here. Anybody else? Okay, on to the vote. Any final questions, comments before we do that with the conditions as you're voting? Can I get them one more time? Stormwater management plan, planting plan, and then move the boathouse all by June 1, 2026.
Correct.
Okay, perfect. Question 1. Is the request in harmony with the general purposes and intent of the Morrison County Land Use Ordinance and Comprehensive Plan? John is yes. Marv?
Yes.
Brent?
Yes.
George?
No.
Clint?
Yes.
Question 2, is the applicant proposing to use the property in a reasonable manner not permitted by a land use ordinance? Marv?
Yes.
Brent?
Yes.
Clint, or George?
No.
Clint?
Yes.
John is yes. Question 3, will the issuance of the variance maintain the essential character of the locality? Brent?
Yes.
George?
Yes.
Clint?
Yes.
John is yes. Marv?
Yes.
Question 4, is the alleged practical difficulty due to circumstances unique to the property? George?
No.
Clint?
Yes.
John is yes. Marv?
Yes.
Brent?
Yes.
Question 5, is the need for the variance created by actions other than the landowner or prior landowners? Clint?
Yes.
John is yes. Marv?
Yes.
Brent?
Yes.
George?
No.
Question 6, does the alleged practical difficulty involve more than just economic considerations? John is yes. Marv?
Yes.
Brent?
Yes.
George?
No.
Clint?
Yes.
I have all 6 of the questions answered to the affirmative, and prior to moving ahead, we do have the option to go through. There's an additional set of criteria questions, and I will leave it up to a vote for these board members to decide on whether or not we would like to run through 8 additional questions and then take the vote that way.
Mr. Chair,
Marv?
we've foregone a lot of these here, but I mean, I think this is a pretty sensitive one. I think we should spend a little bit of time in going over this here, these additional questions.
Well, we will see if everyone agrees with you. Vote to go through the questions. Yes, nay, no. Brent?
Nay.
George?
Nay.
Marv?
Yes.
Clint?
Nay.
John is nay. We will not go through the questions per the vote. And so I have all 6 of the questions answered to the affirmative. Is there a motion to approve this variance as requested?
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion with the 3 conditions aforementioned.
Motion was made with the conditions,
I'll second that.
seconded by Clint. Okay, motion was made and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Brent?
Aye.
George?
Nay.
Marv?
Aye.
Clint?
Aye.
John is aye. Your variance has been requested. Please work with Land Services as you continue to move forward.
Thank you, gentlemen, for your time.
Thank you.
Can I add one thing to this regarding the ordinance violation, the verbiage of it? To clear up, all of you, some of you have stated that this contractor ordeal, which is hard to deal with, and you can't trust the contractors. If you can't trust your contractors, who can you trust? I do sincerely think that contractors should be just as liable as the homeowner or the property owner. They're hired to do this job, and I've done some research here in Morrison County. Some of these contractors tell the homeowners, don't worry, I got this, I got the permit, and they never pull a permit. And some of them say, we don't need permits, I've never pulled a permit, don't worry about it. As far as the homeowners and the landowner that's putting the money up, I do believe the contractor should be held accountable. And if they are held accountable and they know that, you'll have a lot less of these meetings. And that those discrepancies will be addressed right away up front. And I will do everything to help you with that. If you have any ideas, I have a lot. And I plan to pursue that with the state representatives at this time. That's all I had to say. Thank you again for your
Yeah.
time.
Thank you. Meeting minutes is the next agenda item.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve the minutes from September 30th.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Minutes approved. New or old business?
I don't think so, Mr. Chair.
I would entertain a motion
I'll
to,
make that motion to adjourn.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Meeting adjourned at 7:27 PM.